and we have Ketul.
How are you guys?
Hi, hi. And we
All
got
good.
all this great conversation going on. Do you
I have
use
a question for
chatbot?
Ketul and us basically. The question is that can we make secure payments using chatbots?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
can.
If
That
Ketul
was
is from
that
the
was
That's what I was
payment
going to ask.
industry.
Do you know what a
So
chatbot
I
is?
just introduce both of them. So Arsh Ketul is from the payment industry. He works for Shiji Payments, and Arsh is running an Gravitas artificial intelligence company based out of UK. And both of the gentlemen are there. So let's talk about
Well,
how
that's
to
what I wanted to know. Do you know what a chatbot is? And
yeah, I know. Actually, it's very interesting topic. I was listening Arash's conversation, and that was one of the thing that I was looking into it last year, like how to have the payment solutions integrated with the chatbot. So like for example, when the customers are on chatbot, right, especially talking to uh, someone try to resolve their issues or stuff like that, and over there, like if we have to include the payment option, let's say like they have to buy a service or something, right, online or something,
yeah,
how can they securely pay for that,
yeah,
like instead of going through a different window,
yeah.
they can finish the entire dues on one window. And that
mm,
is what actually one of the interesting topic. Not a lot of people are understanding, first of all, about the chatbot, how useful it is and all, but it is one of the topic that I was looking into it, and I will more research on that.
yeah. So
Yes,
we
yes,
have solved that problem. So we do integrate with payment gateways. So, for example, we do integrate with Stripe, and we can work on with others, and we do
yeah.
take care of the PCI DSS compliance in that area, and all of that in one window where you can just talk to chatbot, move on to the payments, whatever you're doing, and then do the payments, etc. And it will be still in the same window. We can provision videos, images, etc. in the same video.
Mm. See, there you go. So we have a person now who's already integrated with the payments.
so we got this connection going on here, people.
Yeah,
This is what
we'll have
Brightcave
to
is
chat
about.
about it, Ketul, sometime. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. When I have like some budget for this, and when we have a proper requirements, I'll definitely reach out to someone who has knowledge about like how do the integrated work.
Okay,
Well,
it's great to see.
so connecting the dots here. Well, I want a chat bot that goes out and talks to other chat bots for me and negotiates for me. Right. So, so let's get some integrating chat bots.
That's a very interesting use case.
It
I'll be
is.
happy to research on it. Definitely, this is really important because going forward, you'll have a lot of chatbots conversing through. So yeah, that's a really interesting use case. You have shown the light.
Well, because
But
if
Arsh,
you
what
think
about
about it, it is a good use case. It really is. And now that we have a few chat bots out there, why not have them so it makes them universal and they can communicate for us and we understand and learn from each other's chat bots
Mm.
too.
Mm.
Yeah.
I like how you brought up that we need to have standards because otherwise, if chatbot is no, not so much have a standard, you'd be like YouTube. There's no standard, so you have whole lot of garbage on it.
Yeah.
I
That's
mean,
what I tell
I
people.
think it's quite
I
important. I think
standards.
yeah, I think this is
yeah,
quite important while developing these solutions because this has got a very close connection with human intelligence. So we're talking about
yes,
human sort of conversations, and when that is involved, so if we converse with five people, we develop rapport with some people, and some things sometimes go in a different direction. So we need to
yes.
manage that sort of expectation, and that sort of ethical standard should be in place while developing solutions, so that that situation is avoided.
Yeah.
Yeah. It,
And there are a lot of other use cases about the chatbot, like how you board the customers, and like have like a lot of customer information. Basically, you can like float around on chatbot, so you don't need to have like any physical person on the phone, or like constantly like email exchange and all that. You don't
Mm.
need it when especially you have the chatbot. Customer can pay for everything, whatever the services that they want, and it's like a one-stop solution kind of. It's interesting topic,
yeah?
well, it's
definitely.
a
But
concierge.
I would like to know
It's an
one thing.
electronic
Can we
artificial
make
intelligence.
payments using voice bots?
Yeah.
Arsh?
Voice
Sorry,
bots.
Ankit, couldn't get you.
Say that again, Ankit. A voice
Uh,
bot.
can we make payments using voice bots?
We can make
Sure.
payments through chatbots, but we haven't
Actually, I'm
developed a
talking
use
about
case.
voice bot
Yeah, so
basically.
that should not be a problem to solve, because
Okay.
ultimately it's a sort of type of conversation which you're doing with the bot. So if you are able to pass the instructions to the bot, then it will do the action. So as I talked about, there are two aspects. One is the conversational ability, and the other bit is the automation ability.
The
So if you
information.
solve the
Yeah.
automation ability and mixing it with conversation ability, so it should not be a problem.
And
And
do you think it's a secure thing, Ketul, to do payments using voice bot?
that is what I was about to say. Like, the security, we shouldn't compromise that part as well.
Yeah,
Here, security is a major point. And there are like some other ways also, like, for example, like some 3D secure, or like, this is more like a dual authentication, and a lot of other like process that is like, inbuilt, like you can integrate it on your chatbot, which is like, connects through your mobile phone, and then you have to enter the like your pin or something, whatever, like the way, like, how to make it more secure, that is most important here as well, because
yeah,
there are a lot of data floating around on chatbot, which is also very high risk, environment to easily hackable, kind of, so we have to make sure that it's more secure the way it is. Like, it depends, like, how, what is the use case of the chatbot, is like what chatbot can do. It's totally based on that. Like, if you put like payments on it, if you put like some statistical data or something like that, it's getting more complex, and you have to make sure that it's more secure the way it should be. So
completely in agreement with
How
that.
about
I look at a chat bot, I look at it as it can be looked at as an electronic concierge, like what they used on the cruise liners, right? They started using something very similar. It wasn't a chatbot, but very similar technology as your concierge, right? It has information that it can return information. But I also look at it as a guard, right? It could be that first layer of somebody talking to you on a website, but again, sometimes when you have layers, it's harder for a hacker to get in. So, depending on your use case of how you're using it, and of course, I work in cybersecurity. So now I'm sitting here kind of inventing how else could I use a chat bot? Could it be used as that other layer before people can come in and do things? So, that's something, a use case maybe I'm going to have to take a look at myself in the cybersecurity world. But and another thing you have to look at too are privacy laws, right? But it's that first layer, right? And again, layers are what? That's how that we protect ourselves, whether we wear layers of clothing, whether we layer our walls and our security, whether we layer our doors, right? Some buildings have two or three entry doors before you get in. So it could just be that extra layer that confuses a hacker as well.
yeah.
So it's something to look at.
And
Um,
it's also important for the customer that they are talking to the right person, on the chatbot. The other side of the chatbot is not like somebody's like who's
ooh,
getting
what
all
number
this
is this?
information.
Am I really talking to Donald Trump, or is it Donald Trump's assistant, or is it right? Yeah, I got it.
Could be, yeah. So that's why it's important. Like, what is the outcome is goes to where,
Right.
that's
Is it really Brad Pitt, or is his an assistant? Right. Yeah, I get it. I get it.
that you get a lot of tweet from Donald Trump about it.
Yeah. Okay. You know, no, that's funny. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
is it
so
a
tweet
tweet?
is quite interesting, because you can develop Twitter bots. The full profile is a Twitter bot, and they tweet or catch your tweets and retweet it. So that's an interesting concept as well.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
a chatbot can become receptive. The more AI you build into something, this is what I tell people. I worked when AI was learning how to be trained. I worked in the labs with Fujitsu, which was interesting many, many years ago. I worked in telecom, but they had other labs. The telecom part I worked in. But they were training an arm, a hand, on how to
Hmm.
juggle a glass, right? And then you add another glass to it, and how not to. But it was training to learn, right? And that's it. But it can only learn as much as we feed it, and it
Yeah.
only learns what we feed it, just like a child's brain, right? So, yes, it can do a lot of things for you. That guard out there that is your chat bot could eventually become that additional security, depending on what you feed it, right? So
Hmm.
it could be out there and be your extra eyes, like what we're using for drones right now, right? We might send drones in to deliver you a hot dog at the stadium, but that drone also has an extra pair of eyes and he's scanning for any bad people that shouldn't be there. You see what I mean? So there are
Yeah.
ways that you can start evolving this technology to serve you five different ways. Right now, it's a fun tool. It's engaging. It's educational, but it can eventually become far more. If you start evolving it to be so, and also to help you find the right um, transfer payment that you need. Maybe you didn't really need that today, or maybe you should set up a monthly, or maybe, so it might sit there and watch your patterns, like we were talking about pattern training with AI. And AI is designed to watch your patterns. And then it's going to come back and tell you predictively if you keep behaving this way, you're going to fall off the cliff.
Yeah.
Predictively, if you keep going to that candy store every day, you're going to put on 10 pounds, Kim. So um, it can do that, right? So chatbots can become your AI to help collect data patterns. Like maybe you had 10,000 people come and ask you the same question. Whoa, we got a problem here. They're asking us the same question. We didn't educate them right. Those
Yeah.
kind of things. So predictivity, predictive policing is what I call it. Is really probably your next better part of this tool for any industry, especially the fintech. I don't know if you
Yeah.
call yourself fintech. I kind of call you fintech, finance technology, but
That's fine. Yeah, I can take that.
I
That's
can
quite
take
important in terms of like the understanding and the continuous improvisation and improvement of the chatbots. So once you develop a solution, it's not the end of the journey. You
Yeah.
keep on
You need to keep.
understanding what is being asked and analyze what users are asking, what sort of responses are being given, and whether that is something which is an apt response or something which might need tweaking or retraining. So keep on evolving through that particular journey to make your bot more efficient.
and I think you just need to take a look at what your customers like to do as well.
Yeah.
We've engaged with putting a chat bot on IBM.TV. It's been interesting, and I kind of like having something
Thanks to
high tech like
thanks to us for no no. Thanks to us for giving us that bot to
that's
put
where
on
it came
IBM TV.
from. Okay, so you see, wow, thank you, thank you. No, so I like being new in
And now
technology.
we are waiting for now we are waiting for Ketul to share the payment gateway so that we can put it on IBM TV.
Yeah. So so you can charge some subscription fee, and I can take the payments.
There you go. Well, that's what we're working on here. So now we got the
Exactly.
whole team, right? We got the whole
Yeah.
team, because it takes a team, right? And that's what IBM TV is also about, is just networking the right people. And also we talked about, there's so much content out there. So we have an obligation to be educational, informational, good quality, right? So none of the bad stuff, profanity, form, integrity. We really promote integrity and inspire the power of positive thinking. But we felt like when we started doing this, especially getting new TV shows to come on, that we connect worlds that need to be connected. Worldly, not, I mean, one of you's in India, one of you's in New York, one of you's in Australia, and sometimes you have somebody from Malaysia, and you never know. They might
Yeah.
need to be connected. And but
I'll tell you one more thing. We are working on a new show which is called AI for the World, and I think we will talk to us maybe after the show that how we can plan that
how
show.
we can connect
That is about AI and how we can utilize AI for different businesses around the world,
it.
Mm.
because a lot of people would like to understand how it works and then they will implement it. So it's about that and how we can make things more proper and how we can utilize that AI part and take more better decisions, especially
Sure.
during this pandemic. So that is what we are working on. Let's see.
And one of the
Yeah,
things we're also working on is cybersecurity show, which doesn't seem to launch very well, but maybe because they're too busy working right now. But
But Kim, we have already started talking to Ketul, and we will be coming up with a payment show every week,
yeah, we got a
discussing.
payment show coming up. All of this is
And,
great.
today's discussion was how small businesses have been changed since the payment gateway arrived. So Ketul was, I mean, we'll be discussing about that. So Ketul, over to you.
yeah. So first of all, like I would like to say, like I think this is like really good, platform to talk about like cybersecurity, payments, like new technologies like chatbots or like any other way. Like it's more a really good way to have everyone on board and like talk about this because these topics are like very people are not really talk about this topic like that often. So everyone's like more interested towards like movies industries or politics and all that, but nobody cares about like that much about like technology and the future of how the world is going to be like with the new the security point of view. So I think it's a good start. And especially like in US right now, like there are a lot of small businesses are struggling. So the whole point is like how to help them in terms of like the online ordering and what you can come up in the payments that can help them in order to the take the money from the customers. And that is what like we are talking about here. So the initially like what my concept was about the payment is help the small businesses. And everyone thinks that like that oh, small businesses are like providing services and charge money, but at the end the whole point is like how do they charge money, what payment sources. So uh, there are like a lot of new technologies out in the market, like in terms of how to sends the link towards the customer's phone and get the payment. And especially that is what Ankit you mentioned, right? That
Yeah, 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 yeah,
so how the new technology works in the small
yeah,
businesses. So
yeah,
there are many ways, like you can customer have like a application run on their Android devices, whatever they have available, right? Instead of like they have to buy new payment terminals and all that. So they can easily have the device ready for their customers. They can take the payments. There are different ways of taking the payments. They're like not as I mentioned in my last call, like there's a card not present scenarios. There is a uh, the token initiated payment as well is more popular these days. uh, that once like your customers are regular, you can save their card information to the gateway providers, and then gateway providers gives you the token back, so you can store that token for any future purposes. Basically that token linked to anything, not only the credit card payments, but or not only the credit card, but like any phone number or address or any customer identification. And then all you have to do is like verify that identification and then give your services, and basically your money goes to your account. So that is like more faster way. Now I can see the payment is uh, not not only with the plastic cards, but with any source of payments that you can take. Does it
Uh,
make sense?
yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah.
So that is exactly what I was more focusing on now. Like how do I help in terms of whatever the, like for example, if Ankit comes to my store, right, I don't need to ask him about his plastic card or the cash. I can ask him for anything else also. All I have to verify that he's Ankit and I know his bank account, right, which is linked to somewhere, like which gives me the my money, and I give the whatever the foods and services that I can give him. So that is what I see as a payment now. And there are many different ways of payments, like alternate payments, like there is a Alipay, WeChat Pay, right? You have global customers around your location, right? Whoever comes from like different source. There are like many ways, like there's mobile payments, there's like app payments, and so many other ways of like QR code payments. And it's a wide range. So you have to make sure that as a merchant, your location should accept all the payment options available in the market.
So when we register for your service as a client that would be for your service, would I just go to your website and register our company with you, and then you can handle any kind of transaction that we need globally, or do we have to register? How does that work?
So I'll make it more general, like how the payment industry do their business, right? So let's say you are a individual customer or individual merchant who has like less than like 10 stores, right? All over the either like world or like one country. Let's say you have 10 stores. First of all, we have to, you know, you obviously window shop around, like what is the payment gateways are available, or like who's providing the payment options, and how uh, how useful is that. And then once you window shop, right, you can reach out to multiple gateways and see how uh, everyone has their own boarding process. Or so first what they do is like they understand your business, like is that like a globally, is that like a locally, how many transactions you do a month. Based on everything, like they decide what kind of customers you have. Like for example, if you are near like some tourist places, right, you might have like a lot of foreign currency customers are available, right? So there will be like a dynamic currency conversion is very popular now, that's called DCC. So basically, if you are in Europe and you travel to US, you can pay in euro if you want to. You don't need to pay in dollars, right? How that works, that is also the entire process called the dynamic currency conversion. So a lot of people use the New York Stock Exchange rate to in order to convert your euros to dollars and take the money, or dollars to euros, vice versa. So the whole point is like on the boarding part, like they reach out to you, they understand your business, they get all your information, and then they guide you what is suitable for your business, what devices you can use. There are a lot of smart devices, uh, that is like there are like a lot of things like available in the market. So basically like uh, they help you with all the decisions, like what PMS or POS you should use. If you already have it, how we can integrate. And then based on like all the scenarios, basically they will take you one step by step, to make sure that you board it correctly, your prices are accurate, like how much you are paying. There are like a lot of flexible options for the payments, like in terms of like you can either pay subscription if you don't have that many transactions a month, right? Or you can do like per transaction basis, the way you see yourself, like what is more beneficiary. And there are people who can guide you as well. So this is what like a standard process. And then what we do is like we take all your information, and if we are a merchant service provider or a gateway, right, businesses, and usually what is the gateway business is. So gateway is like basically take your payments and basically route to your merchant service providers. So like for example, First Data, Chase, Heartland, Thesis in US. So they're like they act as a merchant service provider. So gateway, what they do is like there is a API that integrated to your point of sale system that collects all your information, like payments, regarding payments and all the customer data, like check in, check out, everything. And then they process to the merchant service provider. And that is what like merchant service providers are responsible to communicate to Visa, MasterCard, Amex, and then you know finally end it to the bank, and then get the money and settle to your bank account, right? That is called the gateway. When some companies are acting as a gateway and merchant service provider both. So basically they are like first point of contact, and then they take all your payments and then process, and they are responsible to give you your money into your account. So there is so different ways available. And mainly like there is a process, the boarding process, and the configuration process, and then they deliver to you the devices and everything, plug and play, right? In case you need any support, Their support teams are available to help you to make sure that everything works and you're able to take the payments. EMV, contactless, there are all the measures, like every steps there is a security measures available. Like in the past, if you remember, like 10 years ago, a lot of people punched their cards manually on their system, right? That is very high risk transaction right now in this world. And not all the card brands are supporting that manual entry. They say, like, we cannot support that. So then the swiper came, like where you swipe the card. Right now swiper is also high risk now, because after EMV came into the market, like chip, right? The swipers are also very high risk. Anybody can, like, copy your Max Stride reader. So I'll explain you a little bit on more technical. I'm not sure if you guys are aware or not, but all your plastic card has a track information in built. It's called the track 1 and track 2, right? If I swipe your card on my Mac, my reader, I can get that entire track. I can make any more plastic cards with that track information, and I can use it on your behalf. So the swiper is also not very efficient or secure. So then the chip came, like EMV chip capability. But now the EMV chip is also has its own struggle, right? Like you had to insert the card and you had to wait until it's finalized and all that, right? So now there is a contactless, because people say, like, I don't want to carry my card. I can tap my phone and it should work. So then contactless came. And now then, like, there's an Apple Watch come, right? So it's like, oh, I don't want to pay even through my phone. I'll pay through my watch. So there is other new measure, right? So you have to make sure, like, the way you go, right, on the level of your payment processing, make sure it's secure, and make sure you get basically you win when the chargeback happens. We don't want you to lose money as a merchant. So this is going to make sure the it's more secure, and this is what the normal process is.
I don't want to pay through my phone. I don't want to pay through my watch. I don't like carrying a credit card. Can I just scan with my eyes or my face? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I think you mentioned on the last call, right?
I did, didn't I?
It's gonna come, after like
Yeah.
3-4 years, people are gonna start paying through their eyes,
Well,
no.
because you don't want to carry your wallet or your purse. You don't want to. I don't really want my phone to be able to make my payments for me. So I've not, even though it keeps saying, "Hey, I can." Nope, I don't want you making my payments for me. But at the end of the day, I really wouldn't mind me, my body, or if I have a chip in me. But I don't want my watch. But me personally, I don't mind me having the currency.
Exactly, yeah. It's exactly that point is like payment. Like, you are the walking currency. You can go to any store, they should know you,
Yeah,
right? And you're like regular customers and all, and you should be able to pay, the way how it is, like. And if you know, like, there's a very old system, probably Ankit might know, in India. Like, people used to walk into like normal mom and pop shop, and they just get their stuff like whatever they need, and the owner knows that customer. So
they
there's
just
like, we will take, yeah, put it like note down something, and we'll take the money later. That is exactly now is coming, like, you can walk, and they should be responsible to take the money, not you have to carry your money. That is what the other way around.
I just don't want to get kidnapped. See, I'm starting to think, what is the problems if it's on me? If I'm the walking intellectual property and asset. Oh gosh, could they kidnap me for the money? No, but I think about those things, right? I'm always thinking about the cybersecurity part of things, but also security. But it's got potential. It's got a lot of possibilities and less opportunity for somebody to steal from you, as far as. But I like it. I remember the day when you could go in and okay, we'll put that on your tab.
Yep.
We'll send a bill out, or we'll send somebody out to collect a goat or a cow for payment, back in the day, right? Back in the
Yeah,
day,
yeah.
the farms, or I'll come by and get 10 chicken eggs and we're good. But
It's
uh,
still happening, like in some part of US, like, like a Middle East part, like, where they are farming,
mhm,
like state in Kansas and Missouri and all. Like, they have like a small village, and they like still farming. So, like, one farm has a lot of chickens, another farm has like potatoes, right? They can exchange. and
bartering,
and
barter.
Barter
and
system.
Yeah, so it's gonna come like eventually, like that the plastics and money like should be like you don't need to carry, like you can take the payments through anywhere.
And I think that it's going to evolve into something bigger. But as we discussed on the last show, the biggest problem is there's no universal system for the Bitcoin or the blockchain and all of the electronic systems. So right now, currently, we just have certain ones that we just have to trust. That's why we come to you, because we trust you. But eventually, and hopefully, the future will bring that it will interconnect to a bigger system that we can trade bigger and everybody's on one universal platform. But that's just going to take time. That's not something that's
Yeah.
going to happen. But
And one more point that I would like to mention on your last question, like as a merchant, right? What you had to know about, like how what company you should use, right? So first of all,
Yeah,
if you are planning to go globally, right, then you have to make sure that whoever is your payment partner, right, should have a services globally, not
yeah,
only like locally. So like for example, like you can take Australian dollars right now on your chatbot, or you can take like US dollars or like euro or anything. You can take it through one API. API meaning like one point of
yeah,
in technology terms they say like API. So you can basically it's a it's a message format that like connects from one point to the other in the gateway, payment gateway. So that is what, like I said, like from your chatbot I can take any currency and process through anywhere in the world, like even though your bank is like some like part of your Australian businesses, your bank is in Australia or in the US or anywhere, I should be able to connect to that and
yeah.
put the money down there. So that is what, like going forward, you should look for the partner who has globally, not like locally.
and I think that's what's very important in today's
Yeah.
time, because everything is globally. I mean, even just the other businesses that I tried to engage in doing business with, it's all become a global platform. And I think eventually that global platform just needs to become one big chain, even if everybody kind of interconnects with each other, kind of like phone, right? I can call you from T-Mobile and you could be on Verizon.
Yep.
You can still make a call. Back in the day, there was a time back in the day that they wanted you to have one carrier, right? So unless you were Verizon to Verizon, it didn't happen. And then they tried to say, well, it's just cheaper if you do Verizon to Verizon. That way, they thought they would get everybody onto Verizon. But there's a thing called interconnection, just like what you're doing to allow us to transact in other countries, and
Yep.
It's a gateway.
that interconnection will make the difference. So
And
I.
you see that probably today, like when you travel abroad,
Mhm.
right, or wherever, like you can use your whatever the phone service you have, and
Yeah.
you don't need to
Yeah,
pay extra. Like for example, me, I am using AT&T. I don't need to pay extra if I go to Europe or India. And basically they partner with, like whatever the local partners
yeah,
in the country, and basically they just use their signal, and you can make the call and everything. And at the point, if they even, like if they have to charge the customer, you know like my company will take care of that part, so I
Yeah.
don't need to worry about any other source, or like buy like their country's SIM card and like insert into my phone and all that, like we used to do in the past, like not anymore. So that is
yeah.
exactly like payment also should be like that, like that we can use that
Exactly.
platform, pay, and you're done
Pay
pretty
and
much.
pay as you go, basically. That should be the
And
model.
your company, Ankit, just make sure that we have their company up here so people know where to go if they're
It's
interested.
already there. Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
it's
we
Ketul,
can.
so
yeah,
Ketul, I would like to.
basically
Yeah.
I would like to mention one more thing about the Shiji payments is like one part, but the entire company is a like Shiji group. So we have like a lot of other products also available. So in case if you want to mention as a Shiji group, and the payments is like basically we are handling now over the US and all over the world. So basically it's a one part that handling the payments portion. But there is a lot of other that Shiji group has. Shiji group also has like my check product and concepts for the golf and spa resorts, and like Infosys product, which is like a more like a point of sale system, and then they have a property management system, and many more ways, that we have to make sure that, like your company or your as a merchant, like you are basically you have everything available. Like, you need
Exactly.
PMS, POS, payments, devices, anything. It's one point of contact. And I don't want to market like my company as, but I'm just saying, like, as a general, like, what if I'm a merchant, if I have a business, what I want to look for is this, like, as a global company who
Yeah.
has connection all over the world, who has like many partners that can help me. Like, for example, not all the gateways are supporting Alipay, WeChat Pay, both. Some supports Alipay, some supports WeChat.
Yeah.
Not all the gateways supports DCC. Not all the gateways supports mobile
They
payments. So
prefer,
you have to make
yeah.
sure that you should
Yeah.
support everything, right? And that is what
So
important.
And cost
lot of
effectively,
a
because
lot of payment
even though,
gateway
go ahead.
lot of payment gateway don't support Discover Amex in India. So as Alipay, Apple Pay, and all those things. I'm talking about
Yep.
India, but
Yep.
vice versa. Like Paytm we have in India, it might not work in US.
Exactly. Yep.
So
So you
that's
have
the
to
way.
make sure that whatever you are using, it should be
Yeah.
available all over the world. Not
Yeah.
only that.
Make it user friendly for yourself, because you've got enough going on your plate when you're running a business. So make sure that the company that you're dealing with, like them, they've put in the elements to make your life easier, right?
Exactly. Yep.
And you've got partners that you work with that you can offer and share resources. And that's the key today, right? Is work with somebody who wants to work with everybody. And that's what you need to do. Um,
Yeah, and that's why I see myself as a consultant. I
Yeah.
can tell me what you need and I can help you.
thank
Yeah.
you.
Even though if I don't have a product, I have partners who can work, who can provide. So that is basically my definition is like, as a
Yeah.
we are like consultant.
Say if I wanted to set up my website to collect payments for something,
Yep.
and I can come to you and you can establish so that people can pay on my website through your platform.
Yep.
Awesome.
And it's already available, so whenever you decide, let us know and we can help, on that.
Yeah, no, and I like to use examples not just for myself, but I'm thinking out loud that I got something maybe I want to do, and we can set up the payment, and it's that easy. Just and the thing is like you said, you're more of a consultant than you are sales, and that's what you need. You need somebody who's going to consult you through the process,
Yep.
and
And that's why, like, instead of marketing my company or myself, I want to make sure that I can educate you properly, like, that okay, which one you should use, and you know like understand your business first. That is most important. If you are in any payment industry, right, you have to make sure that you understand the process instead of like marketing yourself, because there are like so many players out there in the world who's doing the same business as you are, right?
Yeah.
So that is what I see myself, that like how to educate you guys, that if you want anything or something like that, like how to set up correctly, that.
And Ketul, when we talk about the industries changing, especially small businesses, since the payment gateway arrived,
Hmm.
so there are a couple of questions that what is the least or smallest amount of transaction we can do from a payment gateway? And secondly, what is the highest number of transaction amount we can do from a payment gateway? Because I
So
have cases from a jewelry
oh,
industry
that's a good
in
question.
New York, and what they do is they have to do some $1 million transaction in one go, and they don't use payment gateways.
yep, they don't use payment gateways.
Yeah, they do
uh,
from bank to bank or things like that because they think that bigger transactions is safer if we do bank to bank. So just wanted to understand that
oh,
aspect.
yeah. Okay, I got it. Yeah, so uh the first of all, like the smallest amount, we don't have any limitation, right? You can run like 10 cents transaction also, right,
Okay.
to any company, or 1 cent also. Like, there is a in the payment world, there is one transaction called, like a dollar authorization, right?
Okay.
That's called like CC verify, like, which is
Yeah.
a credit card verification. So they run for $1. So
Yeah.
any number, like, you can run, right? But obviously, like, not like 1 cent a transaction and all that, because then uh, everyone has like their limitations, like not on the
Yeah.
gateway side, but on the merch on the
But-
processor side, right? That they cannot support like a cent transaction or like 2 cents transactions. So they have limitations, but generally, like, you can run 10 cents transaction and there shouldn't be any issues. So, and the highest number is I seen myself, right? like easily like close to $1 million transaction, one transaction. I mean to say, I seen that.
Okay.
So any payment gateway or payment providers can support up like million, 2 million transaction, but there is a lot of security involved behind that. Like if you
Yeah.
run, let's say if you are a gateway and you received $1 million transaction, first of all you have to have a verification at your hand that is that like
Okay.
$1 million transaction is valid or it's a fraud, right?
Okay.
Let's say like you are a gateway and you are like only responsible to routing the transaction, not like
Approving it.
verifying or anything.
Yeah.
Then basically simply you route the transaction to the merchant service provider and they will do all the research on behalf of this transaction, how secure this transaction is and all. Like for example, your card not present, right? For example, on your website, right? If somebody run $1 million transaction, that is simply basically it's a card not present transaction, and that is a
Yes.
super high risk transaction that
Okay.
might need a lot of verification. Like you have to have a 3D secure, you have to make, meaning, at the
Yeah.
end, like the card brand should know that this transaction initiated from Ankit, not any third party. So how do
Yeah.
they know, right? You can't put like your card information. So they, in the past, what they do is like, when you send a transaction all the way to the end, they give the response saying like, I accept this transaction, but they are not accepting with the amount. They said like, call the bank.
Okay.
That is what the response comes. So the whoever at the merchant location, they have to call the bank to verify that, oh, are you initiating? Is that the customer there? All that thing in the past. Now what they see is uh, how this transaction initiated, and if it's like simply on your website, they might reject. They said, I don't trust unless you have all those protections that, oh, this is a 3D secure, this is like double point to point encryption and all that. Until you prove that to them, then only they accept. So depends how secure your system is, and that way you run more transactions or bigger transactions. But I see in a couple of big lodging customers, I see their batches are almost like $10 million or $11 million, and that got stuck also because of one bad transaction in the batch that
Okay.
might reject. So the entire batch rejects. So as a gateway provider or as a merchant service provider, it's your responsibility to pick out the right transaction, which is like wrong,
Yeah.
correct all that values, and then resubmit the entire batch and then only accept. So
So
there are a lot of technical part
Yeah.
there.
And
right.
and Ketul, you know that when we do the KYC, KYC done from both the ends, from the payment end and the receiver end as well. So suppose you are valid to do 1 million transaction, and you wanted to send to me for maybe let's say a website work, but I am not. I don't have the authorization to receive $1 million. Is that something you have for customers? Because I am just running a website business, and I can't take more than $1,000 or maybe $10,000.
Really?
Yeah.
But
So
yeah, that way I'm just asking.
Kimball
I
is
can
saying
take a
something.
million. I can take 10.
So it depends, like
I'll fix
what.
that problem, man, Kit. I'm gonna fix that problem.
So that is basically you have to deal with the bank who has your account, because basically gateway or merchant service, they are not responsible for that. Like basically if your bank is saying that you shouldn't be receiving that much amount, then you have to find out the other bank, alternative
No,
bank, who will
why I'm
support
telling you, Ketul, is that in India, when you do a payment gateway, so I am partner with a lot of payment gateways in India. So what they do is for domestic transaction we have to do a KYC, but
that.
for international transaction we have to give them a sheet that what kind of business you do, what kind of
Yep,
payments you are receiving, from which countries you are receiving, and what is the approximate number of payments or amount you are expecting. Based on that, they will do your KYC, and they will, monitor your account for some time just to understand that you are not doing any false payments or things like that, because they have to
exactly.
report it to the government of India and RBI. That's what's
Yep.
happening in India. I'm not talking about what's happening around the world, but that's what's happening in India.
No, definitely, yeah, and that is one more like a very secure measurement that
Yeah.
not every. you shouldn't be like doing fraud or anything with your bank account. So it's a every bank has their own security point of view, like how secure your account is. And if you have a business account, they have to know, like that what how much money you are expecting on your business account. If you are like, let's say you are like the richest person from India, right? They cannot have you limit like
Yeah.
$10,000 only on your bank account, right? So it depends on like what kind of business you run, what kind of account you have set up. But basically it's a bank to bank requirement, right? It's nothing to do with any gateway providers or the merchant service providers, but it's mainly for the bank requirement that if you have your account, make sure it should accept certain money that you are expecting you know
And Ketul, do we have any international conference about payment gateways, or only about payment sometime happening around the world anywhere?
Yeah, there are a lot of like high tech happens like every
There.
year, and there are like many other uh available, like that this uh meetings and discussions happens. There are a lot of
Yeah.
portals are also discussing about payments. So many more, like you have to have a member for to join the high tech, and there are a lot of other things, like but and we are one of them. We attended all the high tech meetings, and there are a lot of district meetings available also in the US, right?
Okay.
For a lot of different hospitality industry, or like a lot of big customers like Marriott or Best Western and IAG and a lot of others. So they everywhere, like it happens, and you have to have a registered member to
Yeah.
attend that.
It'll be
You
fun.
know, I
One of the
personally
biggest
attended.
ones, yeah, one of the biggest ones I was going to share with you that I attend, I don't know if it's going to happen this year, it may, is Money 2020. And
Money 2020. Yep.
yeah, it's the biggest, for finance technology conference. It's very expensive to attend, but I attend it every year since I started the TV show, because
Yeah.
that's where everybody kind of mingles. But they're everywhere. These shows are everywhere. They're
Yeah, and Money 2020, I think this year they got canceled because of this. Probably, I think it might be virtual, but I'm not sure. But physically,
many of the conferences have canceled due to the COVID. Now, Money 2020 in the US is usually in October. It's
yep,
the end of October. And but there's other ones around the world, so those may have been canceled because I don't know. That's what I was looking up to see when those were being hosted. And
yeah.
but
This year, actually, like all the business travels are pretty much suspended now for this year until if it's any like the important that we had to attend the client meeting or stuff like that. But I don't think if any like this kind of meetings or seminars should happen. So let's see, like for now, 2021, probably we can meet at Money 2021 or Money
yeah.
2020 in 2021.
They call it Money 2020. They've been calling it Money 2020 for years, right?
Yeah,
And so when I was going through an audit, my tax auditor goes, "No, this is fake because it says 2020." I go, "No, that's the name of the conference." And they go, "No,
I
2020 hasn't come yet." And I go, "No, that's the name of the conference." And I even printed out the conference name, right? And I gave it to them, and they still disallowed it because they said it never happened because it
yeah,
was 2020. And I kid you not, it's had to go through appeal. I've had to appeal going to that conference because, and they're not that stupid; they're just being jerks. But yeah, Money 2020. Um, I think that, well, I'll have to go look. I know the people who run the conference. I know the owners, and but another one we could go to. They don't really advertise themselves as a fintech, but they are the world's largest tech, and that's CES, right?
mm,
And PayPal goes there. A couple of the other companies go there seeking small businesses to do business with them. But yeah,
yeah. No, I'm saying, like in terms of like that owners might have to rethink about having a name as Money 2020, because 2020 brings a lot of bad luck. So might change it to 2021.
so we were looking at 2020, the year 2020, the year of good vision, right? That's
Yeah.
how we were promoting it, the year of good vision. Every one of our promotions was this is the year, right? This is the
Yeah.
visionary year. 2020 was a great TV show for many years, and the reason why they were called 2020 was they try to pretend like it's good vision. We got 2020 vision. It wasn't about the year. It was just
Yeah.
about that. But it really kind of kicked us in the gut. But let's take a positive outlook on this, right? It
Yep.
reset us, made us reboot, and we're going to have to do something to have good vision, right? We are going to have to implement.
And I think I can see a lot of positivity in 2020, especially especially a lot of new technologies are in the market,
Sure.
which is people didn't really push forward in the past, but now, especially this entire COVID situation, everything pretty much expedite, all the contactless stuff is expedite, and all the mobile payment is expediting. So I think that's a good way to look at it. Now we have more productive work from home environments and a lot of other things, environment clean,
Yeah.
less pollution, so many positivity around.
Just no
And I
payment.
think people are
No, no,
accountable as
no
well.
income.
Yeah, but
And I
it's
totally agree
Post-COVID.
with you guys, because 2020 is a good time to rewrite the way we do business,
Right.
especially
exactly.
Really.
especially in the startup space. It's like the startup going to the investors. Oh, please, 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 please.
Yeah,
And I'm
Exactly.
looking at this more as an even playing field. I said, let's do away with the bullshit that we've had. Okay, so that
Exactly.
as a startup, I'm sitting there and there's a investor there. There must be a platform that I can see that this investor has money to invest, because I don't know if he's there for a free lunch.
Right.
yep.
So you got
I don't
to
know.
reset, reboot. You're absolutely
Absolutely.
right. And you were really brilliant in the mindset that you kind of resetted yourself, and your one job was ending and you started another one. And this is a good example of that. Willie is a very, very good example of somebody who didn't panic, who said, okay, this is what's going on. He has his tree that he leaves all his problems with when he comes in at home, and he comes on the TV with us, but he put thought to work, and he said,
So
okay,
Billy,
this job's ending, this job's going to begin, and he put
him,
it in process.
Billy believes in resilience, and that is what he's doing. He always
Yeah.
believed that.
So
but
whenever
but it is it is very important. Now I was just talking to my wife 30 minutes ago, and I was mentioning to her that uh recently the biggest issue is your mental health compared
Yeah.
to the coronavirus, because you might kill the virus in future, but you might not fix your mental health. So it's
Yeah.
most important, how to be more positive during this time. And Willie, I think you should give us some free session, about about explaining about how do we transit from one to the other situation smoothly.
Yeah, Willie does an electronic transfer
So
to the
we
tree.
give us a tip basically, Ketul. So the tip is that go to the tree and put your arms and hug a tree for a couple of times, and then take the energy back, and then restart the work.
The
Yeah,
tree
so
has
so
energy.
that's what I do when I come home. I've got a tree in the front on my driveway, or on the main road, on the side of the main road. So when I get out of the car, I put my hands on the tree, and that's my work. And I walk inside the house. So when I come out the next morning, I put my hand on the tree,
Wow.
take the work, and then I go to work.
so after this call I'm gonna look for the tree outside.
It's not a money tree. It's a problem tree.
No,
I
but
can I can see as a money tree, please.
But
But
there's a lot to be said, and you said something that our mental state of mind is very, very important at this point in time moving forward. A lot of the doctors who have been on our show from the beginning of this COVID crisis, which I am so thankful for them, because they brought us such a good, sound mind of everything. Their biggest concern was the mental state of people, but one of them could not have said this any better the other day. Now that we're living, now that we've lived and we're living, we need to make a living. Now we need to
yep,
put forward our abilities. And but their biggest concerns, it was really interesting. First, their concerns was how do we protect ourselves from the disease. But then as we progressed into the process, and I don't know, Ankit, if you could see this, their concern became the mental state of mind. So our talks change, and we followed their flow. We followed what they wanted to talk about. And it was interesting how we migrated to the mental state of mind, to building our immunities and rebuilding ourselves to what to go out and work. So it's been, and we're continuing the talks on a different level now. But yeah, I like the mental tree. I'm just going to leave my problems at the tree.
Yeah.
No, but earlier on, Kimberly, earlier on, you're talking about the energy of the trees,
Hmm.
you
Yeah,
know,
they got a lot of energy.
and that's the same thing. And the trees, because they breathe in the carbon dioxide and give out the oxygen. Hey,
and
they get
and
two for the
and without any noise,
Yeah,
even
yes,
without
God
Yeah.
noise,
does everything without any noise, which is the
without
best thing.
without dangerous
So I'll
gas
give you an example.
emissions.
What's happening in India? I mean, I used to go to hospitals there. I mean, twice a week to get my father get dialysis. So when we enter the hospital, they check with the thermometer what is your temperature.
Hmm.
And in India right now, the temperature is around 45 degrees Celsius.
Yep.
So everyone is hot. Okay. So when you go, they say you have COVID, and then they
Everybody's
say
like
go
COVID.
and stand, and then they say go and stand inside the tree or under the tree basically, and wait for some time, and then come back and get it checked basically. So we go and stand under the tree for a couple of minutes, and then we
Cool
then
off.
again we yeah, then it's like done basically.
You
So
need
there are a
one
lot
of
of
those little fans, those electric fans.
So I think we should have one more session talk about like trees and nature and benefits of the gardening.
Yeah, the
Ketul, I'll tell you, I
plant.
mean, River Ganges, I mean, as per government guidelines, 35% of the river have been cleaned. They have taken water
Yeah,
from 35 to 40 places, and it's clean. It never happened with so many of dollar and, I mean, so much of stimulus for Ganga, but it's auto clean since couple of months because of lockdown. And everything is clear here in India, and I think you should come back and see what's happening.
I want to do a world day, a world week, and we've talked about this, and Abhijit brought it back up as well. He reminded me about it, but I want to do it where the whole world shuts down for a week. We don't drive anywhere. We do this as a memory of what happened here, but also as a moving forward plan to we cleanse the world. It goes into a sabbatical, and it can breathe again as well because we've closed the ozone hole. We've closed the hole, and the coral is doing better. We were spending millions and billions of dollars, making everything healthy, and all we had to do was stop.
yeah, and that's why I'm totally agree with you. I think we should, or every government should have like at least like 1 day a week, or like I don't know, 1 day a week is how reasonable is, but like I would say like 1 day a week, complete lockdown for all humans, so no go
Yeah.
out, and let the the
Yeah,
environment enjoy. By
I think
definitely.
it
themselves.
was supposed to be Sunday, but we forgot, right? In most religions, I don't know about all of the religions, but when the world was made, the seventh day was made for rest, right? And we, we even humans were supposed to take a day of rest, but maybe we forgot, and this is Earth telling us. Maybe you've got a really good point.
I have to bring my dollar note again because it's all about this thing. That's why people work
That's
on
right.
Sundays. That's why people work on Sundays.
Right. Sure.
Yeah, I know. That's why the situation happened, because everyone think about money and themselves, but nobody cares about the earth. And that's why some some higher spirit tells us that, hey, this is also important. Now please lock down yourself for next 3 months, and we'll clean everything on your behalf.
I mean, and Ketul, remind me, where are you at right now?
I'm in Maryland, which
Maryland,
is,
a
yeah,
beautiful place.
close
Yeah,
to Baltimore. Baltimore is a city.
beautiful, beautiful place to be. I don't know if
Yeah.
you understand what happened here in North Carolina over the weekend. I'm a little embarrassed, but we were supposed to open smartly, maybe have events of 10 people, no more. And do you know anything about North Carolina and racing, racetracks? Like
I No, not really.
the
Can you explain?
popularity of racing,
Oh,
right?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we opened up, and let's see if I can find it. I want to find a good picture. But we opened up and they here you can see the crowds. I don't
Oh
know.
my gosh.
Okay, 4,000 people crammed into a one of our speedways over the weekend. They charged 50. Here's what bothered me: they allowed